I lost over 40 pounds this past year, going from 233 all the way down to 190. And in this video, I'm gonna be breaking down the 4 most important fat loss tips that made that happen. And these are just random hacks. I'm a certified personal trainer, and these are all tips that you could actually apply to your life. Tip number 1 is gonna be fasting. Fasting was an absolute game changer for me when I applied it into my life. I started doing fasting after I learned that fat burning doesn't happen until your body's completely out of carbs, believe it or not. And it's not until this happens that your body has no choice but then to tap into your fat reserves. It typically takes anywhere between 8 to 12 hours, depending on your body type. I personally did just a 12-hour fast, and I know that sounds like a lot, but I'm gonna help you out here. If you're getting at least 6 to 8 hours of sleep, that's really only 4 to 6 hours that you're actually awake for that you can't eat. That is very doable, even for an average guy like me that loves to eat. And a bonus tip is if you can train while you're in your fasting window, you get added benefits. Your body needs energy to fuel movement. And if you're already low on glycogen, your body will immediately go straight into fat burning. Like, you don't have to do this, but me personally, my cutoff window was anywhere between 4 to 5 p.m. where I stopped eating, and I would fast the rest of the day. I typically wake up around 4 a.m. and that's when I would start doing my training. And to deal with hunger, I would just drink more water or 0-calorie drinks. It was that simple. Now, tip number 2 is I had to master my macros. If you're unaware, your macros are your protein, fats, and carbs, and understanding them changes everything. Now, I took a slightly different approach, as I didn't try to track every single meal with a food scale. That was just too much work. Instead, I broke down my favorite meals, measured them one time, and learned how to eyeball my portions. For example, once you know that 40 to 50 grams of rice contains 40 grams of carbs, once you visibly see that, it changes everything. This simple trick that I picked up made meal planning a lot easier for me and way more sustainable. Tip number 3 is you need to prioritize protein with every single meal. Out of all 3 macros, protein is hands down the most important. Whether you're trying to build muscle, lose fat, you need protein. You can't do it without it. And the reason being is that protein helps you build muscle, which will help you boost your metabolism. The more muscle you have, the higher your calorie burn is naturally at rest. 2 is that protein aids recovery. Whenever you strength train, it tears your muscles apart, and protein helps build them back together. And number 3 is that protein helps keep you full and satiated. Now, if you're wondering how much protein you need to consume in a day, a really helpful tip is that it's not based off of your current weight, but your goal body weight. For example, if you're somebody who's trying to put on size, whatever that size you're trying to get to, let's say you're 150 and you're trying to get to 165, you got to be consuming 80% of 165 pounds. Or if you're somebody who's 300 pounds and you're trying to get down to 200, then you really only need to consume 80% of 200 pounds. So whatever your goal body weight, multiply that by 0.8. It is that simple. Before you start wondering, how am I going to get that much protein in? I get it. I would advise some type of protein powder. What I did is I took a protein powder that had about 25 grams of protein in it. I would drink it with water. That way I could just ensure that I'm just getting the protein. So 1 full water bottle, I would do about 2 scoops. That's 50 grams right there. I would drink about 2 of those a day at least. That was the easiest way to get 100 grams of protein in without being that calorically high. And tip number 4 is you got to stay consistent. You've heard this before, but that's because this is where most people fail. I didn't lose 40 pounds overnight, and neither will you. You need to broaden your horizon because fat loss takes time. The habits I shared didn't happen instantly. Like, I'm telling you all these habits, but it took me time to even discover these habits on my own. And once I discovered them, I had to also adapt to them. But once I did, that's when the results followed. So be patient, realize that fat loss takes months, not weeks, and be sure to find a system that is sustainable for you, not just a quick fix. Trust the process. If you found value from this video, be sure to drop a like, leave a comment, hit that subscribe button, and follow for more non-BS fitness advice. Let's get after it.